Abu Qatada was deadly serious. For the so-called Islamic State, 130 human lives are worthless. The massacre at the Bataclan Music Hall brought home their sadism.
Look at this. He looks very happy about killing somebody.
I'm here to interview Shaykh Hamza Yusuf. With his help, I want to clarify things and put them into perspective. He has studied Islam for over 30 years. He is one of the most widely respected and influential Muslim scholars in the world. He's also an American.
Did ISIS try to kill you?
They issued that there would be a reward for somebody.
So you are a target?
I'm a target. I gave a khutbah, which is a Friday sermon. It's a madness, complete insanity. And I think it just bothered them. Because my argument was they had nothing to do with Islam. These people have nothing to do with this religion. This is literally a statistically insignificant number of people, and yet they're claiming that we represent the true Islam. They don't represent my Islam, and they don't represent the vast majority of Muslims around the world's Islam.
Making propaganda every day with that brutality is, I think, something
It creates a gross distortion in the minds of Western people who that's all they see. And also, we're living in an age, to use a French philosopher, the age of spectacle. And so, the more dramatic you can do something, the more media attention it will get.
Honte à vous! Repentez-vous vers votre Seigneur et venez avec nous. Venez nous rejoindre.
Some young people are attracted by the ideology of ISIS. But what would you say, how many percent of the Western Muslims are attracted by ISIS?
Well, I mean, if you take your country, for example, there's about 5 million Muslims in Germany today. What we know of, there's less than 1,000 have gone to Iraq and Syria to fight. So if you just take those numbers, you're dealing with 0.02% of the Muslim population. It's almost doesn't register statistically. And yet, if you watch German media, you're going to assume that every one of those 5 million German Muslims is a potential terrorist.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that ISIS, the state, has told people, you have to come. So people aren't obeying them.
قال تعالى كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم.
The word war, harb, in Arabic, is a negative term in the Quran. Jihad does not mean war. Jihad means struggle. It's the greater struggle is the struggle against the soul, against the low qualities of the soul. And then the lesser jihad is the struggle against enemies that are trying to conquer your land or something like that. The verse that gave permission to fight, which is in Surah Al-Hajj, it's the 22nd chapter of the Quran. The verse actually says permission is granted to defend themselves because they have been fought. And then it says, and had it not been some people defending other people, churches, synagogues, temples, and mosques wherein God's name is mentioned much would have been destroyed. And so the very reason for jihad was to protect religious communities.
You would say only self-defense is allowed?
Self-defense is allowed in Islam. But to rebel against a government, because the idea is that even a tyrannical government is better than anarchy.
We thought maybe there were fireworks or something related to the show, and they were shooting everybody in a very calm way.
We're here in Paris. We're sitting in a cafe. We feel safe. But there's people that actually believe that they can simply come, take a visa, and they can disregard the laws. In Islamic law, if you come into a land, you're called mu'ahad, which means you have a contractual agreement to obey the laws. If you break those laws, you're a criminal. And this is by consensus of Muslim scholars.
وإن إخوانكم المجاهدين قد من الله تبارك وتعالى عليهم بنصر وفتح ومكن لهم بعد سنين طويلة من الجهاد والصبر ومجالدة أعداء الله ووفقهم ومكنهم لتحقيق غايتهم فسارعوا إلى إعلان الخلافة وتنصيب إمام.
Do you think that a caliphate would be a solution for the Muslim world?
No. Omar, the second caliph, said that if anybody claims to be a caliphate, don't take his allegiance, because caliphate has to be an agreement of the Muslims. I mean, why can't I declare caliphate? Right now, I'm the caliph. California comes from a Spanish word from California, the land of the caliph. This is historical fact. Yes, it's the land of the caliph. So I'll declare the caliphate in California, and Abu Bakr is not the caliph. I'm the caliph, so now everybody has to migrate to California and take allegiance with me. This is ridiculous. It's absurd. Who would accept that?
And I said this is anti-Islamic. 113 of the 114 surahs start with the words in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Where is your mercy?
What I've seen, and again, I want to hear what you saw, because you were there. I wasn't there. So I, like most people, only see what's being shown to me. But they have released several things that have indicated to me that they're cruel. Benjamin Franklin, in his autobiography, said that since the Prophet Muhammad rebuked Khalid for mistreating prisoners, no Muslim has ever mistreated prisoners. So there's a founding father of America who knew more about Islam than these people, because you can't kill a prisoner to behead these journalists. And thank God you came back with your head, because several journalists didn't. Foley's mother, she came out and just begged for the mercy of her son. And she said, I read the Quran and I read about the Prophet, and he was merciful. And she was saying, just show mercy to my son. And I just felt it was so ironic that here's a woman who's not a Muslim, and yet she had a deeper understanding of the religion than these people claiming to be the Caliphate.
Once they said we have captured 3,500 people in Mosul, but we have killed only 50% of them.
You know what's
This was mercy for the other 50%.
What a lot of people don't understand is there are many, many verses in the Quran about being forgiving and not being angry about what people say or attack you. And the Prophet, when he moved to Medina, the first thing he did was create this pluralistic society where the Jews had their religion, the Muslims had their religion, the Christians. He made covenants with several different Christians. These covenants are still in existence. The churches that they have destroyed in Iraq, they were there long before the Muslims. The Christians in Iraq were there long before the Muslims ever got there. In the entire biography of the Prophet, there's not one case where he forced anybody to believe in his religion. And he said, God will give you with gentleness what he will never give you with violence. And so it's not to say that Islam doesn't have a martial spirit, it doesn't have the idea of self-defense. That's all true. But at its essence, it's a merciful thing. And so when there's no mercy in something, it's not Islamic.
J'ai été envoyé par notre amir Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, al-Husayni al-Qurayshi, hafidhahullah, pour purifier la terre des mécréants, où qu'ils soient et quels qu'ils soient. Wallah, on a été envoyé avec le carnage chez vous. Wallah, notre couteau se rapproche de vos gorges de jour en jour.
You can see them now digging their own graves in the very place where they were stationed.
How would you defeat ISIS?
ISIS is an ideological movement, and so it's ideas. And those ideas have to be combated with ideas.
So you say we cannot bombard ideology?
I think it's unjust, it's immoral to bombard victims in this situation, most of which are civilians, women and children.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. في حدا هون؟ في حدا هون؟ حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل.
You have to bombard the young people with ideas. Really?
But you will not reach these fighters in
I think you'll reach
Syria,
some of them.
in
I
Iraq.
think you will reach some of them. There's a group in Toronto that were plotting this terrorist action. They were arrested because of an informer. They're all in prison. I got a letter from one of them who was introduced to my tapes in prison, and he was saying how ashamed he felt that he had disgraced the religion of Islam in this long letter to me, and that he had been tricked and fooled by this ideology. So a lot of these are young people that have never been exposed to real Islam.
Sheikh Hamza is the kind of man I have met for over 50 years, again and again in the Muslim world.
Better to light one candle than curse the darkness. We have to illuminate ourselves and then help to illuminate others. I mean, this is really, I think, at the essence of what makes us human.
This kind of integrity and good character is what I hope will be passed on to our young generations.
It seems to be so easy to brainwash